It's my day. I gotta.
Why you going up, man?
Let's go. Let's go to church. Trapping right across the street from church. Junkies in the parking lot of church. They say if you scared, go to church. I came up in the church in the middle of the east side.
What's up, family? What's up, family? This is the Monday that the Lord has made. We're going to rejoice and be glad in it. It's Monday, y'all. It's Monday. How's everybody doing today? Happy Valentine's Day, even though it's past Valentine's Day. For those of you that are coming on, please hit that like button, hit that share button. Tag Lolly Dolly, everybody. Tell them Ramonepreston, the prophet Ramonepreston, and the Ramonepreston show is live. We live, y'all. Happy Monday, everybody. Please do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that share button. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever audio or video platform you're on, I want you to hit those buttons. Let's work those algorithms. Even if you're on Mars, please tag somebody. Tag one of the Martians. Tag one of the Martians, tell them we live, y'all. We got something that's gonna be amazing to discuss today, especially for everybody that's preparing for their income tax return. They're contemplating on what type of entrepreneurial endeavors that they can participate in. I'm gonna help y'all out real good today. We're gonna be talking about the 3 things every entrepreneur needs. The 3 things every entrepreneur needs. Again, welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. You should know by now I'm your host, Prophet. Let me put that in, let me headline with Prophet Ramonepreston, because this is a part of my prophetic assignment, particularly in this season, to bring what we may consider to be economic deliverance and breakthrough, particularly to the people of God, to all of our tribe members, no matter where you are. So if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitch, Periscope, Twitter, LinkedIn, or any other audio or video platform, even if you're on Mars, I want to thank you for being a part of our Monday show today. This is, daughter, this is week 4.
Yes.
This is our 4th week. For the past 4 weeks now, we have been on schedule Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock noon. And I'm pleased. I'm very pleased. Of course, I'm proud. I'm proud of my squad. I'm proud of all of you that continue to support this economic movement. It's prophetic as well. It's a part of a prophetic assignment. And we're going to have to do our due diligence at least Monday through Friday at 12 to make it popular for everybody to participate in economic deliverance. And what I mean by participating in economic deliverance is putting yourself in the best position to really establish a legacy of wealth for you and for your family. So shout out to all of our business owners, shout out to all of our entrepreneurs, shout out to all of you that have products and services that you're pushing, you selling, and you're doing whatever you need to do to get to the next level. So today I'm going to be talking about the 3 things every entrepreneur needs. 3 things every entrepreneur needs. So if you are an entrepreneur, okay, whether you have a legitimate business system existing or whether you are just doing business on the side, like an independent contractor, self-employed individual who's just hustling on the side, or you selling products and services, whether you under the table, over the table, around the table, it doesn't even matter at this point. We just want to talk to those of you that are entrepreneurs, and for those of you that are questioning how to get into entrepreneurship. You might have a good idea, you might have some product or service, or you might just be in a pickle, a little situation, a little lituation that you want to actually make some extra income. Well, if you want to make some extra income, if you want to figure out how to get that bag, you might have a job. That is still entrepreneurial in nature. Now, we've already talked about what an entrepreneur is and how entrepreneurship works, so I ain't gonna take a lot of time talking about that. I'm gonna talk about these three things every entrepreneur needs. So if you wanna be an entrepreneur, these are the three things you're gonna need. If you are an entrepreneur, these are the three things that you're gonna need. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop those questions in the comments. For those of you that might have comments, you might not even have a question, especially if you got negative comments. Man, I want that negative feedback. Truth is, I do. Because for people to send negative comments, which I do get negative comments. I mean, it ain't like everybody like me. It ain't like everybody agree with me. It's just that they don't necessarily go public with it. I typically get negative comments in the inbox, in the DM, or through some fake account. Somebody's just posting some crap and some garbage talking about what they don't like and what I said don't make sense and blah, 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 blah. That's all I hear when I hear it, but at least they listen to me. But guess what? Outside of all the haters, outside of all the negativity, for those of you that are positively moving forward to get the bag, to make money, to build a sustainable legacy for you and for your family, that's why we do what we do every Monday through Friday. The Ramonepreston Show is live, and your boy is right here giving you the game. So shout out to all of you, no matter if you are not an entrepreneur, working towards being an entrepreneur, or if you're already an entrepreneur. Three things every entrepreneur needs. Number one, every entrepreneur needs exchanges. Somebody put that in the comments for me. If you're listening, every entrepreneur needs exchanges. Every entrepreneur needs exchanges. Now, everything that I talk about Monday through Friday, whether it's about finances, whether it's about entrepreneurship, business, investments, legacy, wealth building, or anything in between with regard to economics, everything that I talk about Monday through Friday on this show is coming out of the playbook, our blueprint game plan program. For those of you that are familiar with it, I'll talk about that a little later because I want to stick to the script. The first thing every entrepreneur needs is what? Exchanges. Every entrepreneur needs exchanges. Now, I want to try to get into some tactics, like some practical things, like things that you can practically do right now with these three things, okay? So number one, every entrepreneur needs exchanges. But here's what I want to do before I get into the details of these three things. I want to explain to you that each of these three things that every entrepreneur needs has a God factor and a human factor. Okay? Each of these three things has a God factor and a human factor. So what that means is you've got to take into account the God factor in these things and the human factor in these things. Because if you don't, this has been one of the biggest disconnections we as Christians, we as prophetic people have had with regard to bringing ministry and marketplace together. This has been one of the biggest disconnections. So let's look at the first thing every entrepreneur needs. Every entrepreneur needs exchanges. So there's a God factor to these exchanges, and there's a human factor to these exchanges. Let me give an example what I mean by the God factor and the human factor. The God factor is there are just some exchanges that might not be beneficial to you as a believer and to the assignment that God has predestined for you to live out while you're on this earth. So you always got to take the God factor into the equation. Because you might be doing something right now as a go-getter, as an entrepreneur. You might be doing something as an employee, and you just feel in your spirit, this ain't right. It's just something about this I don't even like. It's just not a good feeling. Well, maybe it's not a good feeling because God has not been factored into it. But then there's a human factor, because on the other end, we got people who want to be entrepreneurs. We call them wantrepreneurs, and they just focusing on the human factor. Oh, I got to get it. I got to grind. I got to get that bag. I got to get that dollar. I'm out here hustling and rah. But guess what? You ain't got God nowhere in it. And you trying to figure out why it's not moving forward, why it's not prospering, why it's not gaining ground. And if God is not factored into it from that perspective, you will start making sense of the human factor and excuses for why God has not been factored into it. So let's look at why entrepreneurs need this first of three things. Why does an entrepreneur need exchanges? You know why an entrepreneur needs an exchange or exchanges? Because exchanges are the lifeblood of entrepreneurship. It doesn't matter how good of a product you have. It doesn't matter how good of a service you have. It really don't matter how good of a person you are. If you are not making exchanges in the marketplace as an entrepreneur, unfortunately, I've got to be the bearer of by default already failed. Because exchanges are the lifeblood, the lifeline of entrepreneurship. There is not a business. There is not a ministry. There ain't no individual who is considered to be an entrepreneur that's thriving, producing, making money, and being successful if they ain't making no exchanges. Even churches and ministries and nonprofits have to make exchanges. Because if you're not making an exchange, that means whatever it is you have, nobody's getting it. Whether they're getting it for a purpose or whether they're getting it for a profit, is still not being exchanged. Now, I teach this in our blueprint game plan about entrepreneurship, but I'm not going to throw no plugs right now because I want to keep you focused on the importance of an exchange. The reason why entrepreneurs need to have exchanges in their entrepreneurial endeavors, even if you're an employee, if you ain't making no exchange, newsflash, boo, you ain't got no job. Because the exchange as an employee is you clocking in, doing a certain type of work for a certain amount of time, and in exchange, what they doing? They giving you a paycheck. So if you don't show up, if you don't clock in, if you don't do your job, guess what happens? You're not making an exchange, and ultimately, you lose your job. So not just on a job, but especially in entrepreneurship, you have to use the lifeblood of what you want to do as an entrepreneur, as a minister, as a business owner, as an investor, as a wealth builder, as a legacy creator for your family. You have to participate, engage in exchanges. So Prophet Ramone, what kind of exchanges should I be making? Well, let's start here. Your exchanges should reflect what you have and what you're willing to give, either for, and some of you know this, either for a purpose or for a purpose that leads to a profit. So even in ministry, it takes finances, it takes revenue, it takes money, it takes some form of financial income, even in a church or a ministry, for those exchanges to successfully take place. So in other words, if you're a pastor, or if you know a pastor, if you're a minister, if you know a minister, if you're a nonprofit organizational executive, and you're making exchanges that may be for a purpose, but none of those exchanges are connected to exchanges that at some point lead to a profit or some type of revenue or income, you're going to be limited in how many ministry or church exchanges you're going to make, or nonprofit exchanges you're going to make. Even Goodwill know that. Even Salvation Army know that. Even the Catholic Church know that. Even most ministries and nonprofits and foundations know that. Whether they're making exchanges with sponsors, whether they're making exchanges with philanthropists, with humanitarians, whether they're making exchanges through local, state, and federal grant organizations that give them a certain amount of funding, it don't even matter. Your exchanges have to be, number one, for a purpose because you are a Christian. But your exchanges also have to be for purposes that leads to profits. Now, again, that can be challenging. Like for me, let me give an example of myself. Again, if you got any questions, I want you to drop them in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. But let me give an example of myself. I started entrepreneurship even before I got into ministry. So I was licensed for ministry 21 years ago, in the year 2000. I started my ministry, my prophetic ministry, my preaching and teaching 21 years ago. But when I started my ministry as a prophet, as a minister in the Christian community, I was already like flirting with entrepreneurship. So I didn't have a business. I really wasn't a polished entrepreneur. I was just like a hustler, a grinder, a go-getter. I was a person who was hungry enough to get out there and make something happen. So my hustle always kept me moving forward. My hustle always kept me finding money and finding opportunities to survive, even though I wasn't polished as an entrepreneur and I went nowhere close to owning any type of business or ministry. But I realized, very early on, I'm talking about like within the first year of doing ministry, I realized, number one, it really wasn't a whole lot of money in doing ministry, not in terms of thinking that you're going to build your career around just doing ministry unless you were in an organization where they trained you, they sent you to seminary, and they hired you as a staff. But those were ministries that were thriving and big. I come through the storefront ministries. I'm talking about it might be 10, 15 of us in there. All of us are struggling. Ain't nobody got no real money in ministry and those types of ministries. Here's my point. I realized that in order for me to be free to minister, to be free to do what I felt like God had called me to do, I had to figure out a way out here in the business world, in the real world, outside the church world, to get that bag. I realized that very early on. And I stuck with it because I felt better standing behind the pulpit knowing I don't care if nobody give me an offering or not. I figured that out like 20 years ago. And so for the last 20 years, I've lived by that mantra, which is one of the reasons why I teach and preach so much about bringing ministry and marketplace operations together, especially for those of you that have nonprofit organizations, you got ministries, perhaps you might be a pastor or you got churches and you're just trying to figure out, man, I got an itch that I want to scratch, but you can't find that outlet in church, in ministry, in the nonprofit sector. It may be because you need to get into entrepreneurship outside of the church. You can be a minister, just a minister in the marketplace. So I brought that out to explain that at some point in your entrepreneurial endeavors, whether it's ministry or marketplace, yes, you have to make exchanges for a purpose, but you also have to make exchanges for a purpose that leads to a profit, because your exchanges are the lifeblood of your entrepreneurship. So what am I going to exchange, Prophet Ramone? Here's some things that you can exchange. Some of you might have not even thought about these things, but here's some things you can exchange. You can exchange ideas. Have you ever noticed that God will give you some ideas that might not fit the criteria of what you're doing as an entrepreneur? But if you can look at somebody else's business and see, wow, this idea might work for this person. Well, guess what? You might need to package that idea in a way that you can present it to that entrepreneur or entrepreneurs or business owners or people who are in that field and see if there can be some type of monetary value in that. Because see, I've given away, oh my God, I can't even tell you how many ideas I've given to people. I've given people ideas for names, for their ministries, for their churches, for their businesses. I've given them ideas on how to structure and restructure it. I do it for free a lot of times because I have a lot going on in business or in the marketplace, and I make so many exchanges that at some point those exchanges automatically start bringing back a profit. So even if you don't attach a dollar amount to it, you might want to exchange it for a purpose. Be a blessing to somebody with the idea. That's an exchange that you can make. Here's another exchange. You can exchange relationships. You can exchange relationships. See, we don't want to be the crabs in the bucket as entrepreneurs. This is why this is the first thing entrepreneurs need, which is exchanges. Because when you start making exchanges for purposes and exchanges for purposes that lead to profits, what happens is you start making a whole lot of purposeful exchanges. You just doing stuff to do it. You know how many people, I'm so thankful because I get so many people that reach out to me and ask me about things that I might not necessarily do, but I might be able to direct them in the right place or to the right people who do the things they need. For me, that was an exchange for a purpose, even though it didn't lead to a profit. Because if there's something I have that they actually need, because I made exchanges with them in the past for a purpose, that new exchange may lead to a profit. Because I took my relationships, my ideas, and I exchanged them in the marketplace. How many people you see struggling doing stuff right now that you got an idea to help them? Or you know somebody that can make things better for them. But instead of you exchanging it for a purpose, you like, yeah, but they ain't paying me. Yeah, but they ain't giving me nothing. You missing out on an exchange of ideas and relationships. Here's some other exchanges you can make. Products and services. What type of products and services do you have that you can actually go into the marketplace and exchange? And even if it's not for money, just for a thank you, just for a like. There are a lot of people on social media who look for influencers. And what they do with these influencers is called influencer marketing. And so what they do, I'm going to talk about that later on this week a little bit, but what they basically do is they look for people who have a following on social media, and they reach out to that person and say, I'll give you my products and services for free, just for a shout out. But guess what they just did? They made an exchange. Does that make sense? All right, here's another thing you can exchange. You can actually exchange your time. You can exchange your time. You can exchange your time. What do you mean by time? Well, there could be some big events going on that they need some volunteers, and they might got cameras out there. The news people might be out there. Just think if you called the plug and said, you know what? I got a couple hours. I can come and just support you. Is it okay for me to wear my business t-shirts? Is it okay for me to pass out my cards? Oh, no problem. You volunteering. Absolutely you can. We're going to have a table for volunteers to put their stuff on, or for vendors. Now what you're giving up? You're giving up your time. You ain't even giving people no service of your company, of your business. You just giving them time. That's an exchange you can make. Here's another exchange. You can exchange your talents and your skills. You can exchange your talents and skills. Think about if you can cook real good and you know somebody that's doing something. Let's say if Prophet Ramone, which I'm not, but I'm just giving you an example. Prophet Ramone was having another business mastermind, like the mastermind we just did. Yeah. How many business owners we had at that last mastermind?
It was like maybe 20.
It was 20?
20. Mm-hmm.
So we got 20 business owners that was at a mastermind. Okay? What if you was the one to say, you know what? I don't even want you to spend money on catering, Prophet Ramone. I'm going to just cook the whole meal. I just want to be able to give my cards to everybody that show up so they can taste my food. You just exchange your talents and your skills for free. It might have been a $300-400 event that you could have gotten, but you gave up $300-400 to potentially get 20 clients that out of the 20, maybe 5 call you for a $300-400 event. So you turned a free event that you did that could have been worth $300-400 into a $1,500 or $2,000 situation because you gave 20 people an opportunity to see what your talents and your skill set was. That's an exchange. Y'all, we got to get creative in this pandemic. Here's another exchange that here's another exchange that you need to make. And you know what? This is one of the biggest exchanges that most people in entrepreneurship don't make. But a lot of people in real estate, see, I came up the real estate road. My wife and I, we've been in real estate since we've been married for 18 years. So we came up the real estate road. And here's something I learned about people in real estate. People in real estate, they give stuff away way more commonly than people who ain't in real estate. For real. They exchange relationships, they exchange numbers. Think about how many real estate investment clubs exist. Real estate investment groups, because they want to come together doing network. They want to talk about deals. They want to make exchanges. But here's some of the things that you can exchange that a lot of these people I've seen in real estate exchange. You can exchange your treasures. What are your treasures, Prophet Ramone? Your money and your credit. Your money and your credit. That's an exchange you can make. It may be somebody out there that has the next best idea since sliced bread. They just ain't got the money or the credit to get the job done. This happens all the time in real estate. It's nothing for somebody to be in real estate and find somebody who got money and find somebody else who got credit, and they put the deal together. So they take their skill set, they get the person over here that got money, the person over here that got credit, and they put a deal together, and they make the deal happen. And they ain't got no money. They ain't got no credit, but they got the knowledge or the ability to bring these two people together. So one of the ways you can exchange your treasures, like your money and your credit, is actually being okay buying your way into certain circles of influence. Like when you meet, or if you ever meet people who are really making real money, I guarantee you they're probably a part of a mastermind. Most likely they have a coach, they have consultants, or they're part of certain groups where it costs them to be a part of it. But they know, okay, I don't have the networks that these people have. I don't have the connections these people have. But guess what I do have? I got a little money that I can invest in this opportunity. You shouldn't have a problem paying your way to get into certain doors. From a business perspective now, we ain't talking about just in life, you trying to buy your way through and trying to finesse your way. That don't work. Remember the God factor. But from a human factor perspective, there are just some things that you're going to have to put your money on the line for to show in good faith, I'm for real about this thing. Don't you know in real estate, when somebody wants to purchase a home or a piece of property, the first thing we make sure that they do is run their numbers, get pre-approved. And then once we run the numbers and get them pre-approved, which is money, we got to make sure they got the money. The moment they get pre-approved and we run the numbers, the next thing is, okay, you got to go find the house now. You got to go find the property. Well, once you find the property that you want in real estate, guess what you got to do? You got to fill out a contract. You got to put a contract offer in, sign the contract, and you got to produce earnest money. The earnest money, it may be $1,500, it may be a couple $1,000. The earnest money is really just a good faith down payment. It's a good faith deposit. You're basically telling the brokers that are involved in that deal and the owners that own the property that you want to purchase, you basically just telling them you for real about this thing. Well, what told them you were for real about it? Not just the contract, but the fact that you put your money up. So that's an exchange that you got to make. There is no way I'm going to have a whole lot of money just sitting around and I'm afraid to put that money on the line for my business. I have done this so repetitiously. Sometimes my wife used to be like, oh my God, this dude will like he will burn the barn down. My wife used to be like, this dude don't care nothing about no money, because I was looking at the opportunity. Now, again, I needed my wife to hold me accountable now. I needed her to make sure that I didn't get too cray-cray, because my wife like, now we ain't finna be living up on no bridge behind a dream you got. The devil is a lie. My wife like, now I love you, dog, but bro. we not finna be around here like catching rides, because we done lost the car behind your behind. There we go again, behind your behind. But anyway, but my wife also understood that there were risks we needed to take, or investments we needed to make, or exchanges we had to participate in with our money, with our credit. We were willing to put it up because we wanted to push our business forward. Here's another exchange that you can make. Equipment. Do you have certain equipment that you own that you can actually rent out, that you can actually give other people access to? Well, I ain't finna let nobody touch my stuff. Well, your stuff ain't making no money. Y'all hear people say that all the time. Ain't nobody finna get a hold of my stuff. Yeah, but the people who letting people get a hold of it are the people who making money. All you need to do is get some more insurance on it. How about space? Do you have space that you can exchange? Especially if you got a building that you own or some type of piece of real estate. You know how many people I have talked to just in this pandemic and have told them to convert their home into their business? Because they own the home. So it's like, if you own it, why are you somewhere else renting space and ain't nobody even going to no space? No, you're finna use that home as your space. I know people right now who people like do makeup and do hair and do nails and massages and all that. They've put their own studios inside their homes. People who do photography, you could come to their house, get quarantined, and come in there and you get all that. A lot of people are not even going to physical buildings, but this is space that you could provide. Hey, shoot, depending on what type of person you is and what type of situation you have, there are a whole lot of people who rent their basement out to people, and you don't have access to the main house. They just build that basement out as an apartment, and they got $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 coming in for that space. So you got to get creative. So if you have equipment, you can exchange your equipment. If you have space, you can exchange your space. If you got vehicles, you can exchange your vehicles. Now, one of the creative ways that people do it is through Uber and Lyft. It was so funny because I did DoorDash the other day. I told you I'd be killing that DoorDash. I kill it. But see, the good thing, the reason why I like doing it in the city, I do it all the time because, number one, the restaurants I order food from, they're real legitimate restaurants. They're nice restaurants, and they got their stuff together. So a lot of times, let's say if I order from the Cheesecake Factory or Grand Lux or Atlanta Fish Market, they have their stuff bagged up and they have it like stapled. And a lot of times they'll put the DoorDash sticker on it, so you can't open it up. You can't get in there, and you feel the bag and it's warm. And you already get the notification. So I get the notification say, your Dasher just picked it up. They're on your way. And you can look at the GPS and see them coming towards your house. So it's really nice. So all that stuff people eating in your food, it's probably you don't went to McDonald's or something. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't even be paying to go, like, if you don't get your behind up, somebody done drunk some of your drink or something like that. I mean, I'm sure it's things that happen, but again, I brought that up because the young lady who brought me the food, I knew she was new because I do it so much. So when they gave me the notification that they was picking up the food, I saw them go up Peachtree. Because I ordered from, I think, Cheesecake Factory. So they picked it up, and I see them going, they on Peachtree going towards Brookhaven. I'm like, hold up. So I text them. I'm like, we across from Phipps Plaza, like down the street from Target. So I'm telling them, and then they text back, okay. They literally went all the way around to North Druid Hills and came up the back way. You know how we go to the cleaners?
Yeah.
They went up that way. But anyway, when she got there, I came out to the gate, and she was in a nice truck, like a Tahoe or something, but it was nice. And she looked like a professional woman, like somebody who might be a teacher or some type of, just a solid person. It wasn't like she was in a slider. Music playing, high, you know what I'm saying, trying to get them hot $7, $8. She looked like she didn't belong there.
Right.
But the first thing came to my mind was she's probably using her time and her truck to make extra money on the weekend because it was Saturday.
Yeah.
So she was like, I'm finna get this money. A lot of people don't want to go out or whatever. They can't get reservations. So my point is, use your vehicles. Use your vehicles.
Yeah.
I know people right now who got vehicles that they only use certain hours of the day. What about the hours that you ain't using it? Shoo. Man, I had that joker running 24 hours a day. That's what taxi companies used to do. Taxi companies will have taxi drivers on shifts. So this taxi driver, let's say if it's an 8-hour shift. So that means they'll have 3 taxi drivers in a 24-hour window. So that car is actually running 24 hours as opposed to you being limited. So if you running your vehicle for 8 hours, somebody else should run it for 8. Pay them. You getting something as opposed to just sitting down. So you got vehicles, you have tools. You can exchange tools. You can exchange inventory. And all you got to do is package them and attach a price to them and introduce them to the market. Man, I spent a lot of time on those exchanges, y'all. I hope y'all got that. Here's the second thing every entrepreneur needs. Exposure. Like Fred Sanford, this is the big one here. Oh my God, Elizabeth. Like for real, Elizabeth. This the big one here, baby.
Right.
The second one is exposure. Now, I want you to listen to this because this is like a very technical definition for exposure. Exposure means the amount of light reaching a surface or a platform, the amount of light reaching a surface or a platform. So exposure depends on the amount of light that reaches a surface or a platform. So I have a whole lot of lights around me in this office/studio that I done basically took over. Is the studio taking over the office, daughter, or the office taking over the studio? She say the studio is taking over the office. But until we can expand and find more room to do it, we just got a studio/office. But my point is, the exposure, me being exposed to the camera, depends on the amount of light that reaches the surface. So when you think of exposure as an entrepreneur, you got to think of how can I take the light that God has given to me, the ability that God has given to me, the personality that God has given to me, the power that God has given to me, and infuse platforms with enough of that God-given ability until it is exposed on the surface. Like, I don't want to throw shade at nobody, but let me tell you something. If you are an entrepreneur and you don't want to be known, you have to bring an ambassador in or some type of character or personality in that you are willing to make known. So either you want to be known for the purpose of your entrepreneurship, or you want to make somebody known. But you cannot hide that light under a lamp bushel and think that God is going to just bless you being hidden. You got to be exposed. It ain't no different than you staying home every day talking about, God, I need a job. Lord, I just need an open door. Well, you ain't got nothing but like 8 doors in your house. You ain't got nothing but a couple doors in your house. So which door you talking about you want open? Because if it's a door outside of that house, guess what you might have to do? You might have to get outside of that house and get what? Exposed. Exposure, exposure. It means the amount of light reaching a surface or a platform. See, I'm always, my daughter, she'll tell you, my wife, my son, anybody on my team, they'll tell you, I'm always trying to figure out new ways to get exposed. And I'm not embarrassed to get attention. And I'm not going to be concerned about people who think I want too much attention. So what? That's their problem. They probably don't want it because they hiding stuff that they don't want exposed. I care nothing about what people find out about me because my life is already an open, exposed book. It's the people who creeping behind the scenes that's worried about what people find out if they go public. It's people who doing stuff that's trifling, ratchet, illegal, immoral, and just flat out wrong who try to live their lives under the radar. Man, ain't nobody finna be living under no doggone radar. For what? Because I don't want to get in trouble. What you doing? You doing something wrong with your taxes? You doing something dirty in ministry? You doing something behind the scenes that is illegal or immoral? What is it? If you good and you know your heart is right, you should want exposure. I want exposure because I want my family to be blessed. I want my family to look up to me. I want my kids and grandkids and great-grandkids to say, we glad somebody took their light, reached a platform, and exposed how God operates in the lives of his people who are willing to obey him. I'm too doggone obedient to God. I've been too faithful to God. I love people too much. My heart has been right too long for me not to want to be exposed. Now, I'm not going to overwhelm exposure with the human factor and not the God factor. In other words, I'm not going to try to manipulate my way and hack my way into circles or ecosystems that I know won't benefit me and my family and pretty much won't even give God the glory. But if it's in alignment with what God's will is for your life, if it is reflective of what God has done for you and to you and through you, then you've got to make the conscious decision that either I'm going to be the brand ambassador for my business, my family, my ministry. See, that's who I am. A lot of people wonder why, oh, he used his name on everything. Have you noticed how many things have my name on it? Either I'm very egotistical and narcissistic, or I just have some big purpose that I'm pushing. Ramonepreston University, Ramonepreston Brands, Ramonepreston Ministries, Ramonepreston Enterprises, RP this, RP Consulting Group. I got everything RP, Ramonepreston. It's a brand. It's really not even reflective of who I am. Because most prophets like me, we don't even want to be bothered half the time. We fine being behind the scenes. But when it comes to certain assignments, I have to bring those assignments into alignment for exposure. So it's okay wanting attention for certain things for the right reason. It's not okay wanting attention for certain things for the wrong reason, because it's not of God. So you got to balance that God factor and human factor. Here's my last point on exposure. Exposure, watch this, reveals clarity or the lack of it. Ooh, that was for free. Oh my God. Y'all, I'm about to preach on this one. Did y'all just hear what I said? Exposure reveals clarity or the lack of it. This is why a lot of people are afraid to be exposed. I learned this. I'm going to tell y'all something. Can I tell y'all a secret? I ain't going to tell nobody else, so please don't tell nobody else. I learned the hard way. Don't tell nobody this. But I learned the hard way that a lot of people don't want exposure because of the dirt they doing behind the scenes. I used to always try to figure out, like, why people don't like me. I'm talking about like preachers and ministers, and I always wanted to be friends with all the preachers I met, and I was, hey doc, hey, how you doing? I was the person that always showed up. You know how it is. I'll go in a room, it could be 50 people in there. I'm gonna shake hands with everybody, love you, hey, how you doing? Men and women of God. I really was doing it not because I wanted them to give me a platform. I did it because I just wanted to have good friends. You know, I'm somebody coming from the streets, got saved in a trap house, started ministering and doing things for the kingdom. And I just wanted to be friends with all of the preachers and all the ministers and the evangelists and the apostles. And I thought everybody was cool. And then all of a sudden I realized, man, nobody don't answer my calls and a lot of them won't respond back. And I was like, oh, wow, they must have just been like putting on the hits. You know what I'm saying? And it took me a long time to figure out, because I remember going to God one time when somebody did it to me. And it was a person I really liked. I thought they were real cool. And the Lord really dropped it in my spirit. Like, you know what? Number one, you don't need them. And they're doing you a favor so that when you get to where you're going, you don't have to drag people who really don't even deserve it with you. You can focus on the people who really need you. Here's what God told me clearly. As long as you go after the people nobody wants, you'll end up with the people everybody wants. And that kept me so motivated. But the Lord told me, because they got things that they're hiding. They can't be as open and honest and transparent as you can. God had to really minister to me to show me that you're just too honest for some people. You just keep it too real. Like you don't have anything you hide in your closet, and you're around some people who do. And so they can't let the whatever out the bag that's in the bag. So I was like, you know what? It's cool, because exposure reveals clarity. So when you get exposed, here's my point. If I'm on, we talk about this all the time. If I'm sitting in front of this camera all the time talking about money, talking about finances, talking about entrepreneurship, talking about business, talking about getting the bag, talking about investments, talking about taxes, like I'm just a guru, like I just know what I'm talking about, but I'm not living any of it, then guess what? I am fraudulent. So I'm going to be limited. I'm going to be limited to how exposed I become, because my exposure will reveal my clarity. See, one thing I've learned also is when you get around winners, winners can pick up a loser. Winners can pick up people who are losing and who are capping. That's why when I go on social media sometimes and I'm listening to people, especially when they be talking about money and business, what we be doing, daughter? We be sitting over here laughing like, they capping. I know they lying. I know they lying. And then they come up with this lame excuse. Well, nobody ain't got to know you don't let your left hand know what your right hand doing, and blah, 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 blah. And you move in silence and blah, 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 blah. All that's for the birds. Ain't nobody moving. People looking at your fruit. People looking at your fruit. When people want me to coach them and people want me to consult them for their business and people want me people paying me to provide certain services, people want to know I got results. They want to know I'm living it. It's no different than a preacher getting behind the pulpit. You getting behind that pulpit preaching and you ain't living what you talking about. The devil is a lie. It ain't no different in business. If you're an entrepreneur and you're in a certain vein or in a certain lane, live what you preaching. And if you're living it, then guess what? Expose it. Because there are a lot of frauds out there. You got to let people know, this is the real thing here. Now you let them decide if they want to follow you, if they want to pay you for whatever products and services you have. But what we ain't finna do is be quiet, because it's a lot of frauds. You know how many false prophets it is out there? You know how many people who are in ministry like me who holler about they do business and they entrepreneurs and blah, 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 and they talking all the right stuff but ain't doing none of it because nobody can't see no results. Nobody can't see no proof because it's all hidden in, fake businesses that they say they got. It's enough of that. So the realer you can show people you are, the better off your entrepreneurship is going to be. So number 2 is exposure. Y'all got that? All right, here's number 3. The third thing every entrepreneur needs is expansion. Expansion. Every entrepreneur needs expansion. Every entrepreneur needs expansion. Now, expansion is, watch this, y'all, growth. Every entrepreneur needs expansion. In other words, every entrepreneur needs growth. If you are an entrepreneur, that's why I be getting on all of the entrepreneurs that I talk to on our Blueprint game plan. Stop giving me these lame behind excuses about what you ain't got time for and about what you can't do when you got hundreds of videos waiting on you. It's stupid. And I'll be the one to tell you, because everybody else gonna be like, well, God understands, God knows. We're not talking about the God part. We're talking about the human part. Yes, God knows your heart, but what if Georgia Power don't? Yeah, God understands, but what if that apartment complex don't? Right. Yeah, the Lord, he'll show you what to do, and he with you. Yeah, I get that part. Nobody's denying that. But what if the people who you got them credit cards with and that loan with for that car don't go with you? See, these are the human factors that you've got to bring into the equation of what I'm talking about. And every entrepreneur needs expansion. Every entrepreneur needs to grow. I have no tolerance, and I'm sorry. I know sometimes I don't even know if it's fair or not, but I just don't have tolerance for people who claim to be entrepreneurs and who just don't want to learn nothing. It's come on. Come on, y'all. Come on. I can't even respect somebody as an entrepreneur if they're not willing to invest in their own education. And again, you might be like me. Every year I try to read as close to 100 books. That'd be my goal every year. Every year I go into a new year, I'm like, I want to read 100 books this year. And I push hard. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of articles. I study, I research, I watch videos. I don't waste my time goofing off. Just about every time you get in the car with me and we finna go somewhere, once the car cranks up, what comes on? One of those audio books. You know, yeah, I have it going real fast. Sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks almost. Because I can process the information quicker. I hate when it drags because I get bored. So I want it to go at least, my audiobooks are normally at 1.3 to 1.5. Oh, wow. That's, the sweet spot is 1.3 if they talking too fast, and it's 1.5 if they talk slow. Because if I bring it down to 1, to me, I don't know what it is. To me, it's like, and everybody has to learn the fundamentals of finances. And when you calculate the metrics behind the hypothesis of all of the dynamics that operate within the context, and I'm like, I want to hear. And everybody needs to go with the mathematical calculation. See, that's me. I'm like, oh, there we go, dog. Because the hypothesis of all of what it is that we're learning can be calculated through these two texts. So if you take 1 plus 2, I'm like, there we go, dog. Now we cooking with gas. But my point is, if you are not that driven, that cray-cray, that ridiculoso, even if you are, you still need to expand, which means you need to grow. You gotta learn some stuff. And if you're learning it, watch this, and you're living it, you're gonna wanna share it. You're gonna wanna share that. Period. I love y'all. I love y'all. Let me give y'all this last point before I go. Sometimes, I wrote this down right before the show started. Sometimes the opposite of expansion is not contraction, but it's comfort. You just missed it. I said sometimes the opposite of expansion is not contraction, it's comfort. See, this is expansion. Yes. Sometimes the opposite of expansion is not contraction, it's comfort. Yeah, but I got a job. Yeah, but it ain't the best, but it's, I'm at least able. You just keep doing the same thing every day. You keep going to the same places. You keep operating the same way, and you're never expanding. The reason why is because you're never growing. You cannot expand if you don't grow. If you don't grow. This is something God dealt with me about. Now, as much as I have been a self-learner, and it's really been the grace of God that I've learned all the things that I've learned in life, because I'm so driven, because I know I've always struggled with learning when I was in school. Like, I'm just one of those people that went to school. By the 6th grade, first time I dropped out of school was in 6th grade. I hated school. Like, I cannot think of a time in my life that I liked school. Never. I mean, like kindergarten, elementary, I never liked it. That's why by the time I got to 6th grade, me and one of my homeboys, we ended up quitting school. My grandma didn't even know we quit. And every day for months, I left the house like we was going to school, and we was around the corner selling dope in the bushes. 6th grade, I hated school. And I can remember when I was in elementary school, I never understood what school was about. Like, I just didn't understand what the purpose of it was. I guess back then, that prophet in me was curious, like, I know what we're doing every day, but why are we doing, like, why are we coming here? Why are we sitting in these classes I was in La La Land. My whole life in school, I was in La La Land. But guess what? By the time I got to middle school, I quit in 6th grade. And then when my grandma finally found out, because they sent a letter that she got, and it was like 100 and something days I wasn't in school, and then I had to start back going back to school. When I went back to school, they put me in alternative ed class. And it wasn't special ed, it was alternative ed. It was like, they said I had a behavior problem because I wasn't focusing. That's what they said it was. They said it was a behavior problem. So it was like maybe 8 of us in the class. Yeah. It was like neighbors with special ed. It wasn't too far away, because we had to wear the little black shirts, and you walk in a straight line to go to lunch. You know what I mean? And all the kids that passed by laughed at us. I just didn't understand it. I'm bringing this up for a reason, y'all, because I realized once I got into business that it's gonna take a lot of learning in order to grow. And it's gonna take a lot of growth in order to expand. And I can honestly say, like, not a year since I've been an entrepreneur, not a year has gone by that our business has not grown. We've never, God is my witness, we have never had a year that we've gone backwards. Never. Even in our church, we never had a year that we went backwards. Even though it looked like some of the transitions we made in our church when I was pastoring, it looked like in them 12 and a half years, it looked like things were going south, but nope, we still move forward. And even with my wife pastoring now, she's still moving forward every year. But you know why? I learn, I educate myself, I grow. I do what I need to do so that I can become a better version of myself. So those are the 3 things every entrepreneur needs. Number 1, exchanges. Number 2, exposure. Number 3, expansion. If you need to learn, to grow, to expand, if you need to become better at being comfortable getting exposed as an entrepreneur, if you need to learn the art of making exchanges, which is the lifeline of entrepreneurship, I want you to reach out to me today. I want to plug you into our Blueprint game plan. This is our 5-step wealth building system that I have personally put together. It's centered around our online educational training platform, where we teach you the most important aspects of financial literacy, entrepreneurship, which is what we're talking about today, owning a business. We show you how to start and structure a holding company. We teach you investments. We teach you nonprofit operations. We teach you goal settings. We have like hundreds of video training courses that are built into our Blueprint game plan, and we use our 5 steps to guide you, to walk you through your own personal wealth building process. So I want you to reach out to me. All you have to do is text, I'm ready. You can text, I'm ready, to 404-478-7213. If you would like to be a part of our Blueprint Game Plan program and have immediate access to our 5-step wealth building system and learn everything you need to learn, or at least the most important aspects of what you need to learn. You ain't gonna learn everything, but you're gonna learn the most important aspects of financial literacy. You're gonna learn the most important aspects of entrepreneurship, of owning a business, particularly a holding company. You're going to learn the most important aspects of investments, particularly real estate investments. You're going to learn the most important aspects of family legacy wealth building, and a lot of things in between. Things like goal setting, things like making business exchanges, things like taking your talents and your gifts and packaging them into products and services. We have a whole program centered around network marketing. For network marketers. If you're a network marketer, we show you how to move your network marketing into real business ownership so that you can have your network marketing operate as a division of your overall company. So I want you to text "I'm ready" to 404-478-7213, or you can go to Ramonepreston.com. Ramonepreston.com. Also, I've been telling y'all for the last week or so, I have sent out some texts, and I have not yet publicly introduced it yet, but within the next few days I will. I'm putting together an exclusive coaching program. Right now, if you go to Ramonepreston.com, you'll see that we have a 90-day coaching program available. It's a 90-day coaching program, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 90-day coaching program and I'm literally going to expand it for 12 months. So I'm going to take a select group of you who want to be coached personally by me and my team, and I'm going to spread out a whole year. I'm going to dedicate and designate a year of my time, a whole year, 12 months. And I'm going to walk you through the process. I'm going to coach you. I'm going to be that person on the sideline. My squad, we're going to all be on the sideline, and we're going to walk you through month by month, week by week, day by day for an entire year. And it's going to be an offer that you can't refuse. If you want to join our 1-year coaching program, and you know, man, if I had Prophet Ramone in my ear, if I had him and his squad in my life holding me accountable, that's exactly what it is. If I had him for a whole year, I know, I just got this itchy suspicion that somebody gonna join this coaching program within this year that we put together, and they're gonna push past 6 figures. I really believe that. I really believe it, but it takes that coach. As good as Tom Brady was, he still had a coach on the sideline. He still had a coach on the sideline looking at angles that he may have not had an opportunity to look at. So anyway, if you want to join our coaching program, text the word coaching, text it to 404-478-7213. But please be for real. Don't be texting me and you ain't ready now. If you're ready, text "I'm ready" if you need the Blueprint Game Plan. If you have the Blueprint Game Plan and you want to join our 12-month coaching program, guess what I'm doing? I am deducting the cost that you've already paid for the Blueprint Game Plan. Whatever you paid for the Blueprint Game Plan, we're going to deduct that from our coaching program, and we're spreading it out for a year. So we're basically taking what we've done for 90 days in our coaching program, and we're going to spread it out for a year. So you're actually getting four coaching programs, 4 90-day coaching programs for the price of one, over 12 months. Chabu. Whoever don't want to get to that next level, cray. I love y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow, 12 o'clock noon. Don't meet me here, beat me here. I appreciate all of you. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever audio video platforms you're on. Please, if you're not on YouTube, go to YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube page. We are quickly approaching 2,000 subscribers. And so we need your support. We need your participation. Even if you ain't got nothing to say, just leave comments anyway. because the comments and the likes and the shares and the tags, they work those algorithms. Somehow these computerized algorithms, they say, oh, somebody must love what Prophet Ramone is saying because people are always liking it. People are always responding. People are always giving feedback. People are always sharing it. So guess what you do? Share, 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 share. Like, 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 like. Share, 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 share. Like, 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 like. Comment. Even if you want to say, Prophet Ramone, I really love you, do it in 18 different comments. Prophet Ramone, I really do love you. And then share it as many times as you comment. Share. I share, really share, love, share, Prophet Ramonepreston. I love y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow, 12 o'clock.